So much healing. May it be so. May healing come. So when we open our Torah in this week of this year, where we are ending a secular year and beginning a new one, we are in Torah ending a book of Torah and beginning a new one. We are ending the book of Genesis, of Breshit, with this parsha of Vayechi, and we'll start Exodus once Shabbat ends for next week, Shmot. So this time of endings and beginnings is here in our Torah portion. And it is an ending, in fact, not just of the book, but of the life of Jacob, the patriarch. It's called Vayechi, related to living, to life, to Chaim, and yet is about Jacob's death. We are told that Jacob is living, and the tradition says, so interesting that at the end of his life, we hear that he is living. It's his renewed life that he's having at the end of his life, now that he knows that his son Joseph, who he thought was dead, is actually alive. He's now living fully at the end of his life, after years of living with less life force. The portion begins by telling us that Joseph has learned that his dad is not well and is dying, is at the end of his life. And this is the only deathbed gathering that we have in the Torah. We do have Isaac bringing Jacob and Esau, his twin, but in fact, Isaac wasn't yet dying. He lived for 20 some years more after that intense moment that we've studied recently and shared about with the brothers and the trickery. And now here's Jacob on his deathbed, knowing he is dying and gathering his family together to offer them blessings. Joseph hears about his dad and he comes. He comes to bring his sons, Manasseh and Ephraim, Manasseh and Ephraim, in hopes of receiving a blessing on them. And Jacob, their grandfather, does indeed bless them. Ephraim and Manasseh are the children of Joseph, children born in the narrow place in Egypt to Joseph and his Egyptian wife, Osnat. It is a powerful scene, this deathbed scene. They're all gathered around to connect with Jacob before he dies. And here is this opportunity for Jacob maybe to do something different than happened when he gathered with his sibling, with his father. Maybe an opportunity to give blessings in a different way. Jacob is told that Joseph, his son, has come to see him, and he summons his strength to talk to his son. He tells him about the blessing he had received in the past at Luz, at Bethel, in the land of Canaan. And at that time, he was told by God, I am El Shaddai, a nation, a community of nations shall come from you. And our tradition, the Midrash, tells us now's the time that he is figuring out what this means, that a community of nations will come from you. We know, as Rashi tells us, that the word goy that is used by Jacob for nation is for Benjamin. But the Kahal Goyim, the community of nations, that is for Ephraim and Manasseh. That there will now be a community of nations through these two children who were born in an interfaith, multicultural relationship between Joseph and Osnat in Egypt. Now I understand what I was told before, many years ago. Now it is coming clear. Now it is coming clear that there shall be a community of nations, and they are coming to me through your children, Joseph, of Ephraim and Manasseh. And these children, he says, these children are to me. They are no less mine than Reuben and Simon. Yihyu li, lihem. They are to me. They are mine. I gather them in. I integrate them into me, into our family. They are not other than. They are not apart from. They are gathered into us. They are part of our family, this community, this. He looks around for them. Jacob asks for them to be brought close to him on his deathbed. We're told that he cannot see well, and he embraces them. And he says, I never thought that I would see you again, Joseph. And now I've gotten to see you, and not just you, but your children. Jacob lays his hands on the heads of his sons, of his grandsons, and gives them a blessing. He puts his right hand on the younger one. He's supposed to put his right hand on the older one, and he puts his left hand on the older one. Jacob knows a little bit about these blessings and who should it go to, older or younger. And in fact, even in younger blessing, some things continue on generationally in families. Joseph tries to correct it, and Jacob says, no, essentially, I know what I'm doing here. I'm giving this blessing. And he says to them, Yisimcha Elohim ke Ephraim v'chi Manasseh. That our people, we do. Traditionally, this is the blessing that is used on Erev Shabbos for our sons. As you all know, I like a different blessing that says, may you be who you are and may you be blessed in all that you are. But this is the traditional blessing. May you be like Ephraim and Manasseh. This is the blessing. So what about this blessing today? What can we learn from this moment of deathbed blessing? May you be like Ephraim and Manasseh. Well, we bless our interfaith children, just as the children of Joseph were. We bless our making community, a community of nations, as we have done since ancient times and we continue to do in multicultural community. Draw forward as a blessing the idea of integrating into our families, into ourselves, people who become part of us. They are to me, Yihiu li, lihem. They are to me, they are mine. I integrate them into me. And if we step into the psycho-spiritual outside of individual people and into the psycho-spiritual lens, we can say again, Yihiu li, lihem, they are to me. What are all the different places of 2020 that we need to integrate into us? These are children that came from the narrow place, from Mitzrayim. What are the places from the narrow place? What are the aspects of the narrowness of 2020 that we can integrate into ourselves as we move forward? Integrate parts into our wholeness. What are the vulnerabilities, the limitations, the possibilities, the identities that we have discovered that we can integrate into ourselves, the priorities? An opportunity to see and integrate into ourselves. It's easy to find mechanisms that say, no, not this thing, not that, let's get rid of that, let's get rid of that. And some of it we do need to get rid of. But what about these things we're pushing away and saying we cannot integrate? Can we integrate them into us if we take a moment to be with them and see them? In these times of staying away from others and of COVID, I wonder if aspects of you who have emerged that are wanting to be seen and claimed. I know that they have for me. Less distractions and in the multiplicity of who I am is even more acute. I taste it more deeply now, the vulnerabilities, the multiple aspects of who we are. And this Torah portion invites us to integrate. Yihiu li, they are to me, I bring them into me. I integrate them. At this end of the secular year of 2020, what are all the places, the experiences, the knowings that we can integrate? I've heard a lot of, oh gosh, thank God this year is over. Good riddance. I understand that feeling. I really do. However, there is the next day and the next day, and we're still here and we're still living in it. We're still here and we're still living in it. But what can we draw forward to integrate? What are the integrations from 2020 to put into ourselves? What can we push back against a dominant frame of goodbye, good riddance, get out of here, I'm not looking at you again, to invite a different process of integration? Can this time of transition become a time of integration about what we've learned about ourselves, about our community, about our friendships, about our families, about our children, about our parents, about our ancestors who've shared with us their wisdom about plagues and how they've survived? What can we integrate? This past Sunday in the New York Times, there was a great section in the Sunday Review about all the different pieces on different aspects, drawing out what could be maybe integrated from this time. It looked at school, it looked at families, it looked at friendships, it looked at dating. What are the things that we could draw out from the learnings of this past year? Like, for example, teenagers need more sleep. That's like a positive thing here that they're getting, that we can maybe integrate. Maybe school should start later. Maybe multi-generational families are the ways to go. This idea of isolated nuclear families. What about communal living, multi-generational communal living? What are the lessons that we've learned from this time of what we can integrate into ourselves and into our society as a whole? Integrations from 2020. And then there is Ephraim and Manasseh as people, not as aspects or qualities, but as human beings. They are children born in the land of the struggle, of the narrow place. What does it mean for their grandfather to claim them and fully integrate them into the family? I have a distant cousin who lives outside of the United States, and she made an attempt several years ago to find family who would claim her and integrate her, who would say, Yihiu li, they are to me. She needed this because she felt completely rejected from her family. She was born through an affair with a cousin of my mother's, and that father wanted no contact at all to do with her. Every attempt she made to be part of family was entirely rejected. So she cast a wider net, looking for any cousin, family relation who she may be able to connect with and be claimed by as part of a family. And she came across my mother and the work that she does with nonviolence and with parenting and with loving and loving well, and had an inclination, maybe this is a cousin who would claim me. And indeed, she was right that my mother would claim her. And she has come to visit us on multiple occasions, and a relationship has developed, and you can see inside of her a relief to be claimed, to have a family that says you are part of this family. I imagine that there are other human beings in your life who you have done that with, or maybe it is you who have longed to be claimed. Family of choice, family of love, family of heart, saying, claim you, claim me, bring you into me. And there are children in this city who are longing to be claimed by family, longing to be claimed by family who would say, you are to me. Children in the LA County foster care system who are longing to be claimed by family. Some who have family who are working hard to claim them, and others who are in need of family to be claimed by. 8 years ago, in the very week of this Parsha, I so remember because we were reading about Ephraim and Manasseh. I accompanied my sister and my sister-in-law as they began their journey of family making through LA County Foster and Adopt. We went through to an orientation of an organization who serves as a buffer, who serves as a connection point between families who want to adopt and foster and the kids who are needing that support. This orientation was a beginning for my sister and sister-in-law in their journey to create the beautiful family that they have now. And for me, it was a beginning to learn more about the kids in our city who are in need of this care and to do what I can as a rabbi to support the families and the children in LA County foster care. And part of the inspiration came from this orientation and others that I went to with my sister and my sister-in-law. When I attended this first orientation, they bring a family to come and share their experiences, to let you know what it's like. And I vividly remember this family. There were two dads and they came with their three kids that they had adopted, ages 3, 4, and 5. And they also brought a 5.5-month-old baby who they were at that moment fostering in hopes of adopting. In LA County, if you would like to adopt, you need to foster. Everyone needs to foster to adopt because there is now an attempt to get children to be reunited with their families of origin. It's an important goal. And so now everyone must foster to adopt. And so these two dads had a newborn placed with them for 3 days. The baby had been addicted to drugs. Baby went through withdrawal. They held the baby through the night for 2 nights. And finally it stopped twitching. And the third night was able to sleep. And then the next night, an aunt came forward to care for the baby and the baby left their house. And they were heartbroken. Heartbroken. Knowing and understanding it was the right thing to do and heartbroken. And they recommitted. They connected with a mother actually outside of LA County who was having a baby in another state who was very clear she was putting up her baby for adoption. Yet when they arrived, she decided she didn't want her child to be adopted by gay men. And so they were there and asked to speak with her. And in fact, in conversation with her, she said, in fact, that she did feel comfortable with them and just asked them to promise that they would raise their child to be a good person. So they returned to Los Angeles, and after some time, they decided to bring another child into their home through LA County. And the agency said, yes, they had a child, but that he also had a sister. So they had 2 siblings. They thought they were done. They had hoped for 2 kids, and now they had 3. And this time, it was the agency that called them. They were done, they felt, with creating their family, but the agency called them. There was a child in need of being claimed by a family. It was a baby who they had tried with 18 other families, and no one had wanted her. Her mother was HIV positive, and when she was born, because of the mother's blood in her system, she was HIV positive too. And it was not clear in the long term if she would be positive. And they, in that moment, agreed. And so they brought their little girl into their home. She had been taking AZT every day and had been going to doctor's appointments and doing her care for months, and she had begun to test HIV negative. And they were really hoping that she would stay in their home. She was clear that she was part of their family, but they still didn't know if she would stay. And their story was so moving. It was so moving to see their family, the kids playing, the parents back and forth finishing each other's sentences. And everybody was so moved, everybody listening. You could just feel all the hearts in that room like bursting open. But you also felt a lot of fear in the hopeful parents listening, feeling moved, but also worried and concerned. Hopeful and worried and concerned. And one man voiced it. It spilled out of his mouth what everybody was thinking. He said, wow, you guys are incredible, but I don't know that I can handle that. I want less risk. I want to know that the kid I have will be the kid who stays in my home. I just don't think that I can do what you all did. And the 2 of them, I remember this clearly, looked at each other with an acknowledging smile. And they said, you know, even with birth kids, you can't say there is no risk. Risk is part of life. There is no way to avoid it. And then another person said, I guess I want to get more clear. To the director, are you looking for parents or are you looking for temporary caregivers? And the director of the program did not hesitate, not even for a moment. She said, we are looking for parents. We are looking for parents. Whether it's a parent for a couple of days or a parent for a lifetime, we are looking for parents to claim these children as your own. Yihiu li, they are to me. Just what Jacob says about Ephraim and Manasseh, lihem, they are mine. Maybe for 2 days, maybe for the rest of their lives. It can be so scary to say, lihem, you are mine. We want to protect ourselves. We want to protect ourselves from risk, from seeing all the parts of ourselves, from seeing all the parts of the people we love, from bringing people close. But this is what it is to be alive. This is what it is to be alive. To open our hearts, to risk, to have courage, to move towards each other, to bring each other into our hearts, into community. And I hope maybe some of you into your families. As you know, these experiences that I have led to the partnering I did with Rabbi Susan Silverman and her start, and as she was starting her new organization, Second Nurture, Nefesh did at Wilshire Boulevard Temple, a pilot cohort. Now we have a second cohort of families who are looking into this. Maybe this is your path now. Maybe it's in the future. Maybe there's someone who you already know right now as I'm sharing. This is a person in my life already who wants to be claimed, who needs to know that I am for you. I integrate you. I pull you into me. May you bring near, draw close, integrate into yourself the people in your life who need you to draw close to them, to claim them. Lihem, they are mine. May you do so with kids or adults you don't yet know, but who are needing it, who are right now longing for it. And may you draw yourself close to all the parts of yourself that want to be seen and claimed by you. May they be to you. Shabbat shalom.
Shakoach. See the pyramids along the Nile. Watch the sunrise from a tropic isle. Just remember all the while that you belong to me. See the marketplace in old Algiers. Send me photographs and souvenirs. Just remember when a dream appears, you belong to me. I'll be so alone without you. Maybe you'll be lonesome too, and blue. Fly the ocean in a silver plane. See the jungle when it's wet with rain. Just remember until you're home again that you belong to me. I'll be so alone without you. Maybe you'll be lonesome
Beautiful.